All right. Now that all the council members are present, I call to order the April 10th meeting of the City of West Sacramento City Council and the West Sacramento Redevelopment Agency and Finance Authority. We will begin with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we live, work, learn, and commune is the original homelands of the indigenous people of West Sacramento, who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. We acknowledge and we thank the original inhabitants who have occupied, maintained, and secured this place and who still exist on this land. We respect and celebrate the many diverse indigenous peoples still connected to this land on which we gather. And the council met in closed session this evening. Mr. City Attorney, would you please provide a report?
Yes, ma'am. Council met in closed session for the item listed on the agenda. No reportable action was taken.
All right, thank you. And we would like to invite our guests to join council and staff in the pledge, which will be led by Janelle Derrick. Please come up to the podium and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. We are going to have a special presentation. Councilmember Orozco. And for Councilmember Orozco, for your presentation, we have Mr. Aaron Jones. Please come up and provide the presentation. By Congresswoman Matsui's office.
Good evening, Council. Thank you. Congresswoman asked best wishes. Congressman also asked that I read aloud this congressional record. Congressional record. Well, I don't. Perfect. All right. You'd expect I would know how to turn on a microphone by now. I know I do not have the voice and candor of Congresswoman Doris Matsui, but please bear with me as I read the following congressional record statement. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to join the Sacramento Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce in recognition of the 2023 Al Geiger Memorial Award honoree, West Sacramento City Council member Karina Orozco, for her ongoing exemplary public service to the Sacramento region. Councilmember Orozco is an excellent leader in our community who demonstrates that the Sacramento region's approach to everything, from economic development to innovation to community outreach and community advocacy, can and should be a model for the rest of the country. Councilmember Orozco's commitment to public service illustrates the very reason why I love my congressional district. Our leaders here have always sought to innovate, to push the envelope, and most importantly, to deliver for our constituents. Even before her time in elected office, Councilmember Orozco demonstrated a commitment to public service, serving in the White House while crafting federal education policy and later as an advisor to then Lieutenant Governor Cruz Bustamante on tribal, community, and veteran issues. To this day, Councilmember Orozco continues her public service as a prosecutor for the Sacramento County District Attorney's Office with a focus on sexual assault and child abuse cases. Councilmember Orozco's commitment to our community has been an ongoing facet of her life, a commitment that the West Sacramento community is both grateful for and counts on. As a member of the West Sacramento City Council, Councilmember Orozco has continued to champion the West Sacramento chapter of the Downtown Streets team to create opportunities for unhoused individuals who are seeking to break out of the cycle of reoccurring systemic trauma and incarceration. Councilmember Orozco's support was critical for the West Sacramento Home Run program, which provides community members with access to high-quality early learning for young children, college savings accounts, and internships. Councilmember Orozco's service continues to demonstrate how diligent and focused advocacy can create real change in our communities. Mr. Speaker, today we honor West Sacramento City Council member Karina Orozco for extraordinary service to the city of West Sacramento, to the greater Sacramento region, and we hope that service continues for many, many more years to come. And so I would ask if it would please the mayor and please the staff if I could either approach Councilmember Orozco or if Councilmember Orozco could come down here for a quick photo.
Would you like to go down for a brief photo? Of course.
Can us to all come with you?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Right. Okay.
Congratulations, Councilmember Orozco. Right, next, is noted on our agenda, City Council is prohibited by state law from discussing or taking any action on items that are brought up under item 1 for public comment, but it provides an important opportunity for a public forum. The public is given an opportunity at this time to address City Council on issues not listed on the agenda. We do ask that anyone wishing to address the council on this or any other item this evening to please fill out a request to speak card and return it to the clerk. We accept the request to speak cards up to the conclusion of the reading of the staff report or on any particular agenda item. Although this time we don't have a regular or public hearing, so if you have a request to speak, especially for the consent, I highly recommend you bring it to our clerk now. Once the staff report has been read and we open up the item for public comment, the clerk will announce your name for you to walk to the podium to speak. Now, in front of the clerk, there is a timer to ensure that everyone has a chance to be heard. We ask that all the comments be limited to the specified number of minutes. And if you are going to be speaking on a consent agenda item, you have 3 minutes for each of the agenda items. Also in front of the clerk is an analog flip chart, which indicates which agenda item the council is currently considering. We also recognize that for some, speaking in public can cause anxiety, so we request that there be no applause or boos, catcalls, or other demonstrations. Furthermore, so that we may maintain a civil discourse here in the chambers, we ask that those in attendance and those who address the City Council abide by the code of conduct posted and not speak in loud, threatening, offensive, abusive, or other disrespectful language that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of this meeting. Now, this brings us to item 1, presentations by the public on matters not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the council. And each person has 3 minutes to speak. Madam Clerk, I think you have one special presentation under public comment and then request to speak under public comment.
Yes, we have Stephanie Stevens with CPRS here to present an award to our Parks Department.
Hello, Stephanie. Welcome.
Good evening, Council. It's so nice, and Madam Mayor, it's nice to be here this evening. As Jennifer said, my name is Stephanie Stevens. I serve as the Executive Director for the California Park and Recreation Society, and this is absolutely the most favorite thing of my job to be able to do, to come and celebrate some really amazing people that you have working for you in your Parks and Recreation Department. So I've got a few words that I'd like to read here, and then we'll get to take some pictures and celebrate these folks. So. The CPRS Annual Awards Program celebrates outstanding examples of quality facility and park design, programming accomplishments, effective communications, community leadership, and professional successes that take place in our profession daily. Through our 5 award categories, we highlight the people, places, the spaces and programs, and the stories that make communities like right here in West Sacramento so special. As one of 11 awardees in our Marketing and Communications category, the City of West Sacramento's Parks Make Life Better Month social media campaign surpassed expectations and enriched the West Sacramento community. Using celebratory storytelling and social media know-how, the campaign aimed at initiating conversations that fostered civic pride and highlighted the multiple ways parks truly do make life better. A direct quote from the award application states, "Sharing real-life experiences, a unique form of social cohesiveness and community identity unfolded in our online engagement. Enthusiastic cheers from proud parents, positive feedback and comments celebrating individuals and events, and applause echoing through our online spaces during part-time staff appreciation posts, all contributed to a dynamic conversation and celebration centered around relationships and belonging. In both physical and virtual spaces, your team's endeavors went beyond just documenting activities. They solidified the Park and Recreation Department as a valuable resource for this community, serving as an anchor from which to build the blocks of a united and engaged community. Congratulations to your Park and Recreation Department and their social media team on winning the 2023 Marketing and Communications Award of Excellence.
Yay.
So before all these beautiful folks come up here for a lovely photo, I did want to show you the actual award that they did
that's
win
pretty.
and tell you a little bit of a story behind this. This is a handmade piece of art made by a nonprofit down in the LA area called Piece by Piece. The folks at Piece by Piece, it's a nonprofit, they bring in individuals who are experiencing homelessness or low income, and they teach them the artwork of how to create mosaic art like this and help put them to work and build businesses around creating these pieces of art. We do about between 35 and 40 awards a year. Every one of them is different. Our only expectation of them is to build something that looks like a park or a great memory that they have in a park. So you have not only a fabulous award, but also a unique, one-of-a-kind piece of artwork here. So congratulations
Thank
once
you.
again, and thank you for having me here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for a photo, I think I see the Parks and Rec team all here. Can we get maybe two separate ones, one with the Parks and Rec team and then one including council? We'll all stand by the side.
Kind of get you guys. Okay, I know you park guys like to be silly. We'll do a regular and then a silly. I know. Yeah, you want to do that? Okay, on three. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now the silly one on 3. Silly now on 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Oh, this is going to be good. Okay. Say parks on 3. 1, 2, 3. Can we do video? Parks make life better. Okay. All right. I knew you would. Okay. Here we go. Here's the video. Okay. Countdown on 3. You're going to yell, "Parks make life better." Here we go. Parks make life better.
Thank you, and again, congratulations to our Parks and Rec team. All right, Madam Clerk, our next request to speak.
Guy Stevenson.
Right.
Karina, congratulations to you. I'm a big fan of you anyway. I'm here to address a couple of different problems. One is that some of the people that are employed in this building don't know how to talk to the public. So now, when they do things that we don't like, we have those. Those are body cams. And there's 4 of us that we all wear body cams. And because accountability and transparency, because you could tell somebody something and they're going to tell you, "Oh, I never said that," or "I did say," and they never admit to what they've done. The one thing that I won't do is that I won't videotape cops and I won't videotape the fire department because I'm a big supporter of both of them. But city workers, sometimes they just like this issue going on down the street. I've been dealing with that for about 7 months. and it's finally been brought to my attention. And I don't really care because all this stuff gets put up on YouTube. So it's about transparency. It's about accountability. If you can't do what you're paid to do, then I'll put you on TV. I've been dealing with this city for a long time. I deal with Sacramento City, and I just don't like when people say, yeah, this is going to get done, that gets done, and it never gets done. So you got to make councilwomen, no offense, accountable, because these people work for you, and if they don't do what they're supposed to be doing, then you need to bring it in and address it. That's what I would do in the military. I didn't sugarcoat anything in the military, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything in the civilian world. If you can't do your job, then maybe you shouldn't be in that position. And I'm going to keep dealing with these people, and I'm going to get under their skin, and they know it, and I don't care, because I'm not here to be popular. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to have them do what they're supposed to be doing, and that's just the way I am. I'm sorry. I don't want to think you people think that I'm just being insensitive. I'm not. I want them to be accountable, and I want them to be transparent. Show the people that what you're doing. There was an issue here on Channel 13 where they said, oh, nobody's ever said anything about the bike trail. That is not true. And I called a news director who went Channel 13 and have a nice little conversation and says, I don't want these people to sugarcoat anything that they're not doing. If they're not doing it, admit it and move on and fix it. But don't stand there and lie to the media and say, oh, we didn't do anything. Yeah, okay.
Robin Davis.
Hello, I'm Robin, and I live in my 160 square foot semi-off-grid tiny home on wheels on my undeveloped residential property here in West Sacramento. A bunch of us affordable housing advocates joined California YIMBY Lobby Day on Monday to get support for the upcoming pro-housing bills coming to our senators and assembly members. I was able to share my story with Cecilia Curry, our assembly member, Bill Dodd, our senator, and staff, who were all very supportive of tiny homes on wheels and all the work West Sacramento is doing. So I will continue to keep them updated on all the amazing progress as requested. We informed our senator and the staff that 38% of District 3 is rent burdened, meaning 38% of renters are paying more than 30% of their income on rent. Also, that the district's median rent goes for $2,566. We also informed the assembly member that the median home value in her area is over $500,000, and the rent-burdened households are at 35%. There's not much opposition to the bills YIMBY is pushing for, since affordable housing has become more and more bipartisan, so advocates really just showed up to bring personal stories and faces to the numbers and statistics. Lastly, just wanted to reiterate how awesome the Community Academy is, and I wanted to encourage every resident to apply and be a part of future cohorts. A couple weeks ago, we got to learn more about public safety with our fire and police departments. I learned how the police department is unfortunately short-staffed and having to pay a lot of overtime, that there were over 11,000 calls for service in 2023, and Fire Station 44 gets the most calls. Our fire chief was born and raised in West Sac, which is cool, and that 50% of fires are caused by cooking, so you gotta be careful. Last night was a presentation by our finance department, and we learned that 68% of the general fund goes to our public safety. I also learned West Sac gets a larger than average portion of property taxes than most cities, which I found interesting, and that the majority of our sales tax is paid by non-residents. So just some fun facts that you'll learn if you join. I would suggest doing a whole finance session just on CalPERS, because that was intense. But every department is doing a great job with presenting such complex, important information while keeping it fun, engaging, and digestible. I hope my neighbors will apply and this program grows to host many more cohorts. So very appreciative of the opportunity.
Thank you. No.
Tim Campbell.
Madam Mayor, Councilwoman, staff. I'm Tim Campbell. I want to share something that personally happened to myself and my family's life. There was an explosion across the street from my home, a neighbor, and we'd been friends of our family for 12 years. And it caused a huge house fire. And we were woken by the fire department. Went outside, they were administering CPR for over 20 minutes until the ambulance arrived, which they took them away. I didn't realize all the training that went on out the Port of Sacramento with police and fire, in and out of the silos, in and out of the transfer points, how it polished their skill. So I would be remiss if I didn't come up here and speak on behalf of the firefighters getting ready to go into negotiations. The firefighters deserve an equitable pay, as do all our first responders do, who put their lives on the line to protect our community. So I stand in support of the firefighters getting equitable pay, and I really encourage everybody work hard to get them what they deserve and where they need to be. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Jennifer Fenton and Deb Banks.
Good evening, Councilwomen. We are excited to be back. I'm Jennifer Fenton with Breathe California, Sacramento region, and this is Deb Banks with Sacramento Area Bicycle Advocates, and we're here to let you know that we're going to be back in 18 days for the Breathe Bike Festival. We have moved the locations. If you were there last year, it's now back at Mill and Riverfront Streets. So we wanted to make sure that you all knew about it. I will be sure to flood your inboxes tomorrow with the flyer and would love any help you could give us in promoting the event. It is free to the community, and it's going to be even bigger and better than last year. It is the May is Bike Month kickoff for the region, so your city is hosting that. So Deb's here to talk about that.
We're really excited about it. Good evening, everybody. I brought socks. This is pairs 5 through 10.
Oh, yay.
Sadly, I have pair number 1. I'll give it.
Oh, yay. They look beautiful. Thank you.
We're really excited because we're celebrating 20 years of May is Bike
Oh my
Month,
gosh,
which is
that's
amazing. And now's the time to really lean into active transportation. Saba is really thrilled about all of the new infrastructure that's been going on in your city and can't wait for the Sycamore Trail to be over the freeway and open that up. Pearson Rohr, who works for us, sits on your active transportation commission. He's been doing social rides, so we're getting people to get comfortable with the new elements and the new bike trails. We're really excited about it. May is Bike Month is going to be bigger than ever. We really want everybody to come out. The Breathe Bike Festival, which we've been working on with our staff, is, I don't know, I think it's going to be the best ever. It's bigger, better, more people, more energy, and we want all of you to come and join us with your families by bike.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So look forward to seeing you all out there.
Thanks a lot. Have a great night.
Thank you. The date for...
Do you the date?
April 28th,
April 28th.
11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
11
It's a
to 2.
Sunday.
The bike rodeo?
No, it's different. That's Matt's. Breathe Bike Rodeo. I think it is.
We have
yeah.
no
It's the same thing-
additional-
It's the same thing as Breathe Bike Rodeo, correct? Yeah. Okay.
We have no
And just-
additional requests to speak on this item.
And, okay, thank you. And just to let you all know, once you receive your email, the Youth Climate Action Fund has been approved. Our $50,000 is coming, and Breathe Sacramento is going to implement it.
That is so great.
Good.
And Councilmember Lupizio Holt, you put together a group last year to the bike rodeo, right?
We did. We kicked off at Heritage Oaks Park, and we rode through West Sac, and we ended at the Breathe Bike Rodeo.
Are you gonna do another one
We
this
can't
year?
do that same day, but I will likely be doing a May is Bike Month bike ride again.
Great. I want to join you.
Good.
Go ahead, Madame. You have one more request to speak? Oh, great, sorry, I thought I heard one more request. to speak. Okay, next we have our consent agenda, items 5 through 18. Madam Clerk, well, first of all, for among our council members, are there any requests to move an item? Okay, Madam Clerk, are there,
Are we doing the number 2, the presentations?
oh, sorry, I skipped over. Just completely skipped over the presentations. Yes, the number 2 presentations are 2 proclamations. The first, all the presentations are throwing me off. The first presentation is a proclamation recognizing April 7th through the 13th is National Library Week, and we have Councilmember Sulpicio Hull presenting that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for giving me this opportunity to present this proclamation. I'd like to invite Alex Hirsch and Quinn Zhao to the podium. And then could you both just introduce yourselves real quick?
My name is Shu Qinjiao. I'm the Regional Library Supervisor for Yolo County Library and Eastern Region, and work at West Sac.
Wonderful.
Good evening. I'm Alex Hirsch, the president for the West Sacramento Friends of the Library.
Awesome. Thank you for being here tonight. I have a proclamation in front of me recognizing April 7 through 13 as National Library Week, and I'll highlight up some parts of it, ask if any of my colleagues have any comments, and then offer you guys an opportunity to speak, and then we'll take a picture together. Whereas the Yolo County Library is dedicated to upholding the City of West Sacramento's commitment to providing exceptional municipal services and facilities while fostering collaborative partnerships with various entities, including city departments, the Washington Unified School District, the Los Rios Community College District, nonprofit organizations, and local business community. Whereas the Yolo County Library is steadfast in its pursuit of enhancing the lives of West Sacramento residents through a diverse range of programs, catering to all age groups, offering free meeting spaces for local nonprofit organizations, weekly English conversation groups, providing tax preparation services at the Arthur F. Turner Community Library. Whereas the Yolo County Library has been at the forefront of initiatives aimed at supporting the diverse communities of West Sacramento and Yolo County, including people of color, immigrants, and individuals with disabilities, by ensuring equitable access to information, services, and resources. Whereas in the year 2023, residents demonstrated their unwavering support for the Yolo County Library, including visits to local branches, active participation in free programs, and the borrowing of a diverse array of materials such as books, DVDs, audiobooks, early learning kits, and multilingual resources. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the West Sacramento City Council hereby designates April 7 through 13, 2024 as National Library Week, urging all residents to seize the opportunity to explore the latest offerings at the Arthur F. Turner Community Library and engage with the warm and knowledgeable library staff. Madam Mayor, I'd like to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to present this. I've told my story before, but I grew up in West Sacramento. I was homeschooled, and so the library was home base for me and my family. I told the story, but I have to tell it again. Libraries do really fun programming, and if you go to our library, you will be so incredibly impressed with the flyers for activities, for services they have for every age group. When I was a small child, we did a book reading. We were studying the Laura Ingalls Wilder Little House on the Prairie, and the project was to do a diorama. And my diorama was selected to be shown at the library, and it is still one of my proudest moments to date. That was, a good 35 plus years ago. And so that's a memory that I have, and I know, spending time at the library with all the activities are core memories other residents of the community have as well. Would you like to, which direction should we go first? Let's let our guests, do you have any comments? Would you like to speak?
I'll speak on behalf of Shu and the library staff and the Friends of the Library. What a beautiful evening to be here in West Sacramento tonight, celebrating both parks and libraries actually tonight. Standing here in this room, I'm probably not the only one who knows the TV show Parks and Recreation, show about local government with the very enthusiastic city parks director who had a bitter feud with libraries. And I'm very happy to say that's not the case in West Sacramento. We here know that our parks and our libraries, of course, make our city great. And it is such an honor for the library and the Friends of the Library to be here tonight to receive this proclamation from the city. As Councilmember Sulpicio Hull said, our library in West Sacramento stretches back decades, and it has served the community for all of those years. The library, of course, is more than just a depository of books, a place of learning, and a place of resources. It's a place of community. The last few years have been difficult for so many, for public spaces, for nonprofits, for families. The library, of course, was no exception. There were times where we had to limit in-person services, but those days are a distant, distant memory. The library is open. The library has programs every single day of the week that it's open. Children's story times, every single day of the week that it's open for children of all ages, in languages. We have bilingual story times in Spanish and Russian, as well as story times in English. How incredible is that? The library is open. We have a very robust schedule of adult programming, from Maker Mondays to Book Club Wednesday to Yoga Thursdays. Yes, yoga is available at the library, and it is very, very popular, I will say. I hope that all of the council members come down to the library for Yoga Thursday one of these days. The library is open. From the computer access to the scavenger hunts to the Dia de los Libros and Dia de los Niños events happening later this month, we have such a wide spectrum of programming and services for community members, regardless of their age, regardless of their background, regardless of their income or language or neighborhood. The West Sacramento Library is a community center for all of us. I know I've had conversations with several of you, and all of you are supporters of our library. You've gone there for decades growing up in the town. You've brought your children and your grandchildren to enjoy the services at the library. And so from the bottom of my heart, I cannot say thank you with enough gratitude to express the passion that I know all of the community shares for the library. The Friends of the Library, of course, are a nonprofit organization made up of dedicated community volunteers with one singular mission: to support our Arthur F. Turner Community Library here in West Sacramento. We, of course, do that through a whole spectrum of partnerships and collaborations with local businesses and local community groups, holding local fundraisers, including ones this month, and participating in the Big Day of Giving next month, the single largest fundraiser in the region for nonprofits. I hope that each of you, as well as the city, the members of the audience here today, and the members of the audience watching at home, will continue to follow along with the library, follow along with the Friends of the Library on social media, online, look for our upcoming events, and help us support our incredible West Sacramento Library. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Well said, Alex. We are so grateful for the Friends of Library helping us, and thank you so much for your continuing support.
And thank you so much for your commitment to the library. Colleagues, any comments?
And I found myself thinking that.
Dante, I don't think your microphone's on.
I'm pressing. It's green now. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'll project as well. So Yolo County Library and our West Sacramento Library, I just think, as you pointed out, is such an important community gathering space. My daughter actually and I were there yesterday, and she, for the first time, got to sit in the teen room, and she felt very much an adult. And so it's just a place, again, where we are also able to raise our children. And I might have said this last year, similar to your story, but reading and literacy is just so key and important to our entire life in regards to if our kids are not reading by third grade at grade level, they switch from learning how to read to reading to learn. And what happens after that is that you have lower graduation rates, you have lower college, you have lower opportunities for income and jobs as well. Literacy is such an important thing, and our libraries are a key to that. And so very, very fortunate to have such an amazing library, to have this nonprofit that supports our library. Thank you for the work that you both do, because again, you are impacting generations.
Yes, Councilmember.
Thank you, Mr. Hirsch. Your presentation was so eloquent. I've seen you present this on this day for many years, and I appreciate the years of wisdom that you've committed to being with the Friends of the Library, and thank you both for coming here tonight. There's a quote, it says, once a child learns how to use a library, the doors to learning are always open. And, we can't underscore the importance of how much of an equalizer it is once we obtain the knowledge. At any, part of the trajectory of our childhood all the way up to adulthood. And frankly, I consume right now about a little excess of 6 books a month. They change over the years. Now it's a lot of self-improvement and treatment for illness. I finished one this morning, lots of survivor stories, and they keep me motivated and alive and filled with vitality for hope. But I also will add, just as my colleague mentioned, my children were raised at the Arthur Turner Library. We used to check out the large box kits with finger puppets and whatever that is in there for them to learn the important lessons about nutrition, anything from math, art, all different ages, activities like the Pokemon search I mentioned last year, which had them going, boy, because I have now a 12 and 13-year-old. They're not as much into Pokemon now, but last year it was hot. And I'm raising an avid reader. In fact, sometimes I just say you can't leave. You're trapped until you rent a book, and he, always follows through. And it's beautiful to know that not only do I have a very talented athlete, but he'll be a scholar athlete at the ripe age of 12 years old. But the free information that we get, that you outreach into our community, it really is a gift. And it's a gift that I'm happy to help as part of this council to fund, because in an age where information is instant and on your fingertips on the phone, we often forget that the roots of the Dewey Decimal System and the card catalog, and just actually physically going in and pulling a book from a bookshelf, how valuable that experience is. So the fact that you're both here tonight reminding us of this treasure that we have just across the street is just something that brings me so much gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Roscoe.
I was just going to say, when you mentioned the Dewey Decimal System, it brought back so many memories, and I think that's what libraries do. I remember when I was in school, we had a small little library. I don't know if that was part of the Arthur Turner or not. It was over in Broderick and Bright. And we would have competitions in our school, who could read the most books. And I remember on Saturdays, most kids were out there, riding their bikes. There was a group of us that was always in there trying to read as many books as possible and writing the names down. And later, when my children when I had my children, I took them to the library, and they were so proud because they got their first library cards. That was like a rite of passage for them. It was like their first little credit card or something. And they really enjoyed being able to imagine, not just educate, but imagine themselves as being so much more. And that's what it was for my granddaughter as well. When Arthur Turner, we moved back into the area, we were gone for a little while, I would take Aurora over there, and she absolutely loved it. She would read a lot. And today she is a student over at UC Irvine. But I think that was really important. She learned to appreciate education, and that's what the library did. And it opened so many doors. Someone mentioned that. I was thinking of all the wonderful programs that are there, and the fact that your library also opens its doors to other neighbors, like the Fix-It Cafe. It's a wonderful opportunity to learn other things hands-on, not just from the books, but also opportunities such as that. And I just want to throw one more thing in. That's where my son Carlos, my youngest son, met his wife, at the library. So it's also a great place to meet people. Thank you.
Well, these are all treasured stories about our council members' experience, and it's so wonderful to listen and learn from each other about the, presence of the library in our life. In looking at what it has provided to our community, especially during the summertime, to our children, who have that break, and knowing that, in the state of California, we are at the lowest in the poverty level. And so, being the great equalizer, getting our youth to be able to read, and also providing nutritious meals and support, because I think that's where families can go to for both. Just, feeding the tummy, but also feeding our minds with education. And, that's what I value in, the Friends of the Library. Greatly appreciate what you've achieved in bringing such a strong momentum of getting a lot of people together to contribute and fundraising, and just, your knowledge and understanding, your compassion for our community runs very deep. And so knowing that and knowing your entire team, who I know is not here, all well-deserving, we congratulate and thank you all for what you've done to our, for our community, and for many years to come. And also just recommend, if any of our council members, I think it would go a long way to do a little short video, like less than 30 seconds, of what the library means and for a big day of giving yes, share the QR code or whatever it takes so that we can have people contribute to our Friends of the Library, so that way they can raise some money. And with that, I think, ready for the photo?
Picture?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Council members, go back up. I know it's maybe a little inappropriate, but again, we couldn't do this with the library staff. Yesterday was National Library Workers Appreciation Day. Could we all give a huge round of applause so loud the library staff across the street can hear it? Thank you all.
Okay, next we have is a presentation of proclamation recognizing April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. And we have Councilmember Orozco presenting proclamation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for asking me to present this tonight. This is, I think, the 8th time that I've had the opportunity to present this proclamation over the years, the first being in 2016. As I'm a near 19-year veteran of the Sacramento County District Attorney's Office, with many of those years in the special assault child abuse unit, as well as being a member of the Child Abuse Prevention Council and past chair of the board of the Yolo County Children's Alliance. I will say that this is a subject matter that is very close and near and dear to my heart. And frankly, as a prosecutor, there are these things, we call them scars, and they literally can scar you, but they're called suspected child abuse reports. And they come in by the drove, unfortunately. Many of them can be as benign as a report of a child being held while there's domestic violence in the home, or they can be as severe as torture, physical torture and child abuse, both in physical or sexual form. With that said, I think we would all agree in this room that there's no place in our society for behavior that damages the most vulnerable population in our community, in our society, in our world. Many of us, I think, have the false impression that these types of things happen in somebody else's neighborhood, not ours, right? We know how we live our lives. We know it happens, but it's somewhere else. Well, unfortunately, this is our problem. This is our neighbor's problem. This is our family member's problem. And even though there's a different range in the amount of severity, there's certainly a continuum. I think that it's up to us, not only in this room, but in this city, in this county, in this state, in the station, in this world, to keep our eyes open, because we are the eyes and ears of the youth that oftentimes, even on their best days, would never muster up the courage to disclose that something is happening to them at the hands of normally someone they love. There's a variety of different reasons. I won't go into them, but in addition to stigma, as well as fear, these folks keep their mouths shut. And so it's incumbent upon us to have our eyes and ears eyes and ears open, so that way we are well equipped to report on their behalf. It's a duty that we all have, not only to our children that we know, but for the future of our community and our society. So I encourage you to look at yolokids.org. It's the Yolo County Children's Alliance. There often is information about, not only as a parent, how we can deal with life's frustrations in a healthy way, but also how we can equip ourselves to be better reporters and eyes and ears for children who can't speak for themselves. Tonight, I have the great fortune of presenting the proclamation of our City Council as recognizing April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. It reads, in part, whereas child abuse and neglect continue to pose serious threats to our nation's children. And before I continue, let me please invite Geneva Lahai and Tony Kildare to the podium, and I'll continue to read as they make their way. And whereas adverse childhood experiences such as physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, neglect, and parental stress or illness can have short and long-term outcomes, including a multitude of health and social problems. And whereas early evidence-based prevention and intervention efforts are more cost-effective than addressing the adverse effects of child maltreatment in both human and financial terms. And whereas in 2023, according to the internal data set from the Yolo County Health and Human Services, 281 children in Yolo County were found to be victims of abuse and or neglect. The pandemic exacerbated some income inequality, toxic stress, and access to resources in West Sacramento across Yolo County. And that includes the child's ability to disclose because they weren't normally around school nurses or their friends or teachers. Whereas preventing child abuse and neglect is a community issue, and we all have the responsibility to nurture and protect our children and help ensure that they become healthy and productive adults. And whereas Yolo County Children's Alliance was founded as the Child Abuse Prevention Council of Yolo County in 2002 and has continued to coordinate county efforts to prevent and respond to child abuse and neglect. Yolo County's child abuse prevention efforts are fostered by contributions from the following agencies and organizations, including Communicare, Empower Yolo, First 5 Yolo, West Sac Police Department, Yolo County CASA, Yolo County District Attorney's Office, MDIC, which is basically a safe center, is a sexual assault or special assault forensic interviews, the Yolo County HHSA, Yolo County Office of Education, Yolo County Probation, community members, and those with lived experience. And whereas prevention can only be accomplished if we as a city take responsibility to offer parents, caregivers, family support and tools they need to provide healthy and nurturing homes for their children. Therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of West Sacramento does hereby recognize April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention Month, proclaimed this 10th day of April 2024. Thank you. Madam Mayor, would you like to join Ms. Lahai? Actually, let me offer first the opportunity to respond, if any, no pressure, and then we'll come down for a photo.
Had talking points, but I think we're going to keep it very short. Madam Mayor, thank you for having us today, and City Council members, thank you. Councilmember Orozco, you are deeply rooted in this issue. I know you've worked on behalf of children in this region for many, many years. We greatly appreciate all your advocacy on behalf of children. Again, Yolo County Children's Alliance has been the CAPC since 2002. We work collaboratively with our partners on child abuse prevention efforts throughout the county and on our yearly campaign. Our campaign this year is Be the One. So the purpose of Be the One is to emphasize that every one of us has the ability to make a positive difference in the lives of children in our community. Every one of us here have the ability to be the one for a child, whether through mentorship or whether checking on your neighbors, knocking on your neighbor's door, checking to make sure that they're okay, or if you see a child who is sitting alone, encourage your children to make friends with other children in their schools who are sitting alone. On April 26th, Pinwheel Gardens will shine across the county, symbolizing the bright childhood every child deserves. This date holds special significance as Children's Memorial Flag Day. So we're also asking folks to host Pinwheel Gardens. The information has been sent to the city clerk. Also visit strongfamiliesyolo.org for resources and practical ideas. Thank you for having us. I'm going to hand it over to our council chair, Tony Kildare, also the Director of Child Welfare Services for Yolo County Health and Human Services.
Thank you, Jennifer. Madam Mayor and members of the council, I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to speak about this important issue, and I appreciate your comments around the responsibility that we all have as community members and the dedication that you had in your role with the District Attorney's Office. I too have had experience both as a child welfare social worker and as a forensic interviewer working in the District Attorney's Office in a different county establishing a child advocacy center, and I recognize the importance of collaborative efforts between governmental agencies and nonprofit organizations and other community partners to really address issues that affect children and families in the community. And as a child welfare director, I recognize that I have like a tremendous responsibility to do everything in my power to ensure that children in Yolo County and in West Sacramento are safe from harm that might be inflicted upon them by others. And you know, this is the time of the year when it's Child Abuse Prevention Month, and so it feels a bit like a broken record, but every time I have an opportunity to address the community, I want to make it clear that the dedicated social workers for child welfare services are available and ready to respond to children who need their assistance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 366 this year, but it's weekends, evenings, holidays. Child welfare never sleeps, right? And it's because of the magnitude of the enormity of the issue around child abuse and how important it is to this society and this community that we are always ready for anything that happens. And so in April, it's important for us to shift our focus somewhat from child abuse awareness to child abuse prevention awareness, right? And I was in another meeting yesterday and addressing our Board of Supervisors in Yolo County, and I was explaining that I don't think that there is a lack of awareness that child abuse exists, and it's a very difficult topic for some people to talk about. It's not something that people naturally want to discuss, but I also think that there's awareness about it. What I think that is sometimes lacking is an awareness around how do we prevent child abuse from occurring in the first place, right? What do we do? I think that in many ways, we all know how to recognize maybe that it is happening, and maybe to some degree, some people may be less or more willing to stand up and say something about it, and I think that that's a continuous effort that we have all year round. But really what we're trying to focus on in this Be the One campaign is what can we do to prevent child abuse in the first place? And I really want to recognize the efforts of West Sacramento, and especially in the Parks and Recs department with the Bright Park project, which I believe is the type of work at a community level that can lead to a reduction in child abuse. Whatever you can be done in the environment of the community to enhance the lives of children and families will naturally lead to a reduction of child abuse. Anything that you can do to develop economic opportunities for your families, home ownership, safe spaces, green spaces, parks. Someone said something about the bike trails earlier, right? Those are all things that may not seem like child abuse prevention efforts, but in reality they are, right? Additionally, our work is moving from being reactive to proactive, right? And so a lot of the work that we're embarking on in accordance with the Federal Family First Protection Services Act is to find unique ways to use federal funding that has traditionally been limited to providing responses to child abuse to preventing child abuse. And right now we're working in partnership with First Five and Yolo County Children's Alliance to develop an alternative response program. And what that looks like is families that would come to our attention that maybe don't rise to the threshold that we would investigate, but who still have a need for services. Yolo County Children's Alliance can provide one of two different evidence-based home visiting programs to support some of these families. And so that's what we're doing. And we want to do it in partnership with the cities and with the other partnered agencies in the community. And I, once again, just want to appreciate West Sacramento for taking the opportunity to recognize Child Abuse Prevention Month for everything that you're doing, both directly or indirectly, to support families and children in this community.
Thank you. With that,
Thank you.
go
Yes.
downstairs for a photo. Thank you.
I do want to allow the council members, before you leave, to share a few remarks, because this is a pretty significant proclamation. We have several council members who do work in the community on their personal time to address this very issue. And I'll start with Councilmember Early.
I'll keep it brief. I really appreciated what you both shared regarding it's our responsibility and the shift from awareness to prevention. And it seems small in the shift, right? But it actually really is important. I also wanted. I don't know if I ever thought about the work that in my professional life I do with United Way, that much of that work is also prevention and making the community. I see my friend Jennifer, who we partner with, nodding. Much of the work that we do is also prevention in regards to increasing education, literacy, guaranteed income, and much of those other things. And so thank you for sharing that, and thank you for your continued partnership. And Jennifer, thank you for all of your tireless advocacy, work, dedication, and support to making our community better.
Councilmember Sapezio Hall.
Thank you. What resonated with me is the conversation about prevention and the connection that those of us that aren't in this work daily, but instinctively kind of know that if things are easier at home, stress is relieved, and life is better. When I was a first 5 YOLO commissioner, we implemented the Welcome Baby program with YCCA's help. And that was home visiting to new mothers. And as a recently, new mother, knowing that type of one-on-one connection with somebody, how just powerful that is. You mentioned home ownership in parks. I'm an advocate for affordable childcare and ways that we can invest in our families and children. And so I appreciate all of the work you do and coming to communities like us and showing us these evidence-based solutions and giving us the opportunity to support. So thank you just for all of your work.
I want to thank you for your work. When I was growing up, it was a different time. So you were always taught to respect your elders, never question, what they told you to do. Those people could have been next door neighbors. And abuses took place, but you kept it quiet. You sometimes heard kids next door being beat by their parents, but you were taught to keep it quiet. Your parents wouldn't interfere because it wasn't the thing to do. Thank God by the time I got to be an adult and my kids were growing up, there was a lot of light shed on this very subject. So your kids were being taught to tell people, no, don't touch me. That's not the way to touch me. Leave me alone. And to be able to report it out. If you saw a child being mentally or physically abused, you got on that line, and there was outreach that you could do with agencies such as yours. Times have changed a lot, and I'm just glad that the work that you do, it's so important. And I was just going to ask a real quick question. What kind of outreach do we do with the schools? I mean, do we really allow teachers anymore to have these conversations, or do you go out to the schools and let children know at a young age that certain things aren't appropriate, because it is an uncomfortable subject for even some parents to approach with their kids?
Yeah, I appreciate that. We don't necessarily specifically do specific outreach with the schools, but we would if the schools requested that. Now, I can say that I'm the branch director for the Child, Youth, and Family branch of the Health and Human Services Agency, and so we have child welfare and we have children's behavioral health, and we have a partnership with the schools through the behavioral health program, the K-12 school partnerships, and that's all about providing mental health support to children and working with the districts there, and some of that is around providing tier 1 services around stigma reduction and so on and so forth around behavioral health. And so we would certainly be willing to provide those same kind of opportunities for children in schools, but I think we would really do that in partnership with the schools. So it's kind of like the schools, we're partners with the schools, but we don't want to impose upon the schools, if that makes sense, right? But we'd be willing to do it if the schools asked us to do something like that.
That would be great. I'll mention it to some of the school board members I know. I think it's really necessary.
I will say that last year, the Child Abuse Prevention Council, the project that they sponsored was the LISA project. And
was a great project.
Yeah, right. And so the idea was really around providing some awareness and about a firsthand experience with what a victim of child abuse might experience. And it's somewhat controversial, I got to be honest with you, right around what that approach is. However, I participated in that last year, and I really thought that would be an effective tool, especially for middle school and high school students, right? To really provide an opportunity to start a conversation around maybe not what's happening in their home, but maybe it's something that they might see happening in one of their friends' home or something like that, right? So I do think that there are opportunities for us to do more around that, but I will admit that we're not currently doing those types of things with the schools currently.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you for all you do. I know it's a lot of work. And Welcome Baby is another, great program where, trying to do early intervention and prevention of whatever is going on with the mother and a newborn is critical. And I do know that West Sacramento, why we have, YCCA in West Sacramento, there's that question, but it's because we have the greatest need. our residents are suffering the most, economically speaking, and access to, that's why you mentioned Bright Park, access to recreational activities. The deprivation does lead to a higher incidence of child abuse, and there's definitely a lot of research in that. In my understanding, working in child welfare as a legislative advocate, we fight for as much as we can for resources for families, for family caregivers, for the child care, special child care funding. If somebody takes in a family member takes in a child, so it doesn't disrupt their life, all sorts of ways. And one of the other, so we know, from experience that it can lead to death, which is what we have, with Amy Hunter and the loss of her 2 children. Where in the family court, where, there's a situation as a result of domestic violence, and a family goes in, and I've experienced that, firsthand with my little grandson. For family court, we do need to educate our judges on why certain situations do not allow for that child to have any kind of reunification, and prevent, continued trauma. And the trauma is, it can be ingrained, and it does have an impact in the child's behavior outside. It can start as young as infant, to toddler, and then continues on with the rest of their lives. It just has a sustaining effect on how they relate with one another and the triggers. So as we see today, as it relates to poverty, lack of, recreational activities, and other resources, as a result of, COVID, a lot of, families were shut down. Schools were a place where they can escape to and also get a good meal. And so there were families who struggled, and then we started seeing a high incidence of suicide rate among our youth. So it may not even be something that, that they are able to talk about. But and I don't think there's a strong correlation with child abuse and suicide rate, but that's not what I'm saying. It's the fact that youth really need that support, that connection with all of us in one way or another. And so that's why, for me, it's really important, and to have you here, for all of us to speak about our experiences, Councilmember Orozco, and to continue to fight to protect our youngest in our community who need protection, need our support, and advocacy to make sure that they have a city representation that is going to work hard to protect them and invest in their little lives so that they can have strong, quality lives here in our community. So thank you for what you do as a partner to it, accomplish.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Next, we have our consent agenda, right? Madam Clerk? No, mosquito vector? Next, we have agenda item 4, presentation by Sacramento Yolo Mosquito and Vector Control District. And we have 2 presenters here. And I don't, Janelle, are you going to, Gary? You just present yourself.
She's just here to make me look better, I think. So. My name's Gary Goodman. I'm the district manager for the Sacramento Yolo Mosquito Vector Control District. Appreciate the invitation to come out to talk to you a little bit about what we're going to anticipate for this upcoming mosquito season. And so our district covers, am I pointing this the wrong? Maybe. You can just advance it for me, that's all right. You. So our district covers all of Sacramento and Yolo County. So our main office is in Elk Grove, and then we also have an office in Woodland, just north of here. Perfect. Thank you. Our mission is to protect public health from vector-borne disease specifically, and not just disease, but also nuisance levels. Here in Sacramento and Yolo County, we have a lot of agriculture, which produces a lot of mosquitoes, and then you have that right next to population centers. So those mosquitoes then don't just stay where they're born. They travel, they fly, And our goal is to be able to try to keep nuisance levels down so that you can enjoy, especially as we start to get into warmer weather, your backyards, events in the summertime, baseball games, all of those aspects of things that are coming through. But then also, since 1999 in the United States, we've gotten West Nile virus. And so in our area, since 2004, so the last 20 years, we've had West Nile virus, which is a disease that we've never had here in the United States before. But in 20 years, it's now established here in our area. West Nile virus is a bird disease. It's actually carried by birds and vectored by mosquitoes. So vector means essentially biting an infected bird, picking up that disease, and then biting another bird to pass it on, or biting a human to pass it on. So our goal is to try to prevent vector-borne disease and protect public health, not only just from disease, but also from those nuisance levels. We don't want people to be bothered by mosquitoes. In our particular area, we have about 24 different species of mosquitoes. Not all mosquitoes transmit disease. And in fact, only female mosquitoes are the ones that bite. Male mosquitoes just feed on nectar. So female mosquitoes are looking for the protein in your blood so that they can produce the eggs. And a mosquito will lay anywhere from 150 to 200 eggs at a time. So our goal is to be able to try to find those mosquitoes in their aquatic or water sources. That's why you hear mosquitoes breed in water and standing water. And that's our goal, is to be able to try to find those and suppress those numbers in the water so that those 150 don't emerge as adults, then take a blood meal and then lay another 150 eggs and then take a blood meal and another 150 eggs. So we do this through what we call an integrated mosquito management approach. The first is public information. I'm sure a number of you are probably familiar with our PIO, Luz Maria Robles. She's fantastic. I think came out to Earth Day just last week. And she's very passionate about trying to get education out. So we do a lot of PR events. We do a lot of radio, television, advertising, social media. Her goal is to be able to try to educate the public as to what they can do to prevent mosquito production on their property, and then, of course, prevent being bitten by mosquitoes so that there is no transmission of disease. The second part of our program is surveillance. This is where we set traps out throughout our entire district. We have 2,000 square miles of all of Sacramento and Yolo County. That's a lot of area to cover. And essentially, we trap mosquitoes to be able to try to understand what the population is doing. Is it rising? Is it falling? What species of mosquitoes we have? And of course, we have a laboratory at our office in Elk Grove where we test those mosquitoes to see if they're carrying the virus. And so we do that and gather data essentially on a daily basis. To be able to try to understand what the population is doing, understand what kind of virus activity that we're having in that particular area, and then be able to react in that fashion. We also have a biological control program. So the center picture there, you see all those little tiny mosquito fish. We plant over 4,000 pounds of fish a year just in Sacramento and Yolo County. That equates to about over 2.5 million fish per year. They're not very big, but we probably are the largest mosquito fish breeding facility in the country. In our facility in Elk Grove, we have 23 ponds that are about 3/4 of an acre that breed these mosquito fish year-round. We have an ecological management program. This is where we work with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, landowners, farmers, those types of things that when they irrigate or put water on their property, that tends to breed mosquitoes. And so we have some heavy equipment like a backhoe that we can work with these landowners to be able to reduce that mosquito production on their property. And we provide that. Most of that service is free of charge. And then we get into what we call chemical control. And for us, we have our district is broken up into zones, and we have a technician that works in every zone, and every day they go around and they look for these mosquito breeding sources that we have. So we have we have 2 technicians that work in West Sacramento specifically, on the southern side and then the northern side as well. But every day they're out looking for either backyard swimming pools or low areas or places where stagnant water is happening. So some of the sources that you can see here, these are some of the different breeding habitats that we have. And especially here in Yolo County, there's a lot of agriculture, and we have a lot of rice. Rice is standing water with a lot of vegetation, produces a lot of mosquitoes. That's a big challenge for us. Those things, however, are easy for us to see. I can drive right by the bypass, I can see a rice field, I know there's mosquito production happening there. The bigger challenge that we have is what happens in people's backyards, and that's where we really need the public in our education program so that people recognize that mosquitoes can be a problem, that there can be disease transmission, and that they can call us because we can come out and take care of some of these issues. So we've had backyard swimming pools that turn green, can breed thousands and thousands of mosquitoes, and of course that can infect an entire neighborhood. But old bird baths or anything that can hold water for more than 7 days has the potential to breed mosquitoes. And so the concern obviously is we want people to be aware let them call us. We'll be more than happy to come out. We do anonymous. We don't really care what else is going on in the yard. We want to be able to try to figure out where the mosquito production is happening, and so we can kind of take care of it that way. We are anticipating somewhat of another intense mosquito season just based on the amount of rain that we've had over the last couple of years, last year specifically. Record setting from that, there were a lot of areas that filled up with water that had been dry for years during the drought. And so obviously for us, the more water that we have, the more potential mosquito production that we're going to have as well. And of course, last year, the rice production in Yolo County specifically increased quite a bit. Previous in 2022, we had about 18,000 acres of rice, and last year we had almost 45,000 acres of rice. So that's, you're more than doubling a significant mosquito breeding source for us. So we are anticipating, again, just because of the amount of rain that we've had over the wintertime, filling up some of these sources, and so that's going to be a challenge for us moving forward, and we want the people to be aware of that. This is West Nile virus activity that we had in West Sacramento, and typically, actually, up until last year, we didn't have a lot of West Nile virus activity in West Sacramento specifically. So the red circles are positive mosquito samples, so these are traps that we set that we then came back to our district, and they tested positive for West Nile virus, and then the yellow triangles are dead birds. And so, as I mentioned, West Nile is a bird disease carried by birds. If you see a dead bird, please give us a call. We want to come pick it up. We can test it to make sure to see if it died of something other than West Nile. But if it died of West Nile, then we can mobilize our folks to be able to try to go out to that particular area and do some surveillance in and around there. One thing I do want to highlight, the chart there, the number of human cases that we had. And so in 2023, Yolo County had almost 40 cases, which is about 10 times what our 3-year average had been. So last year was a significant issue as it relates to West Nile virus here in our area. And the state of California as a whole was about double the average, but here in our area, Sacramento and Yolo County, we were 4 times, and in Sacramento County, we were about 10 times on both of those. So, so again, it is a very significant issue that we want people to be aware of. Last year was a big problem. In fact, we worked very closely with Dr. Sisson, the Yolo County Public Health Officer, in being able to try to get the education out to healthcare providers so that they could diagnose and we would know where and when West Nile virus cases are happening. Again, on West Nile, this is the state of California as a whole. As you can see, the middle column there, 428 human cases, which is about double what it was the previous year. One thing I want to try to highlight here is the fact that most of the cases that get reported tend to be the very serious, what we call neuroinvasive form of the disease. Typically, West Nile fever is flu-like symptoms, so very similar to what we've been experiencing the last couple of years with COVID, right? You get sick, you've got a cough, you don't feel very good, you rest. Most of the time, people will recover from that. But the ones, and so a lot of times those West Nile fever cases never get reported because you never go to the doctor and you never get diagnosed or tested for West Nile. West Nile can then develop into what we call neuroinvasive disease, where it starts to become encephalitis-like symptoms, and you can lead anywhere from blindness, paralysis, and of course even death. So when it gets to that serious, that's when they go to the hospital and they'll get diagnosed. So the vast majority of these cases that are reported are actually the very serious neuroinvasive form of the disease. CDC estimates that for every neuroinvasive form of the disease, there are another 30 to 70 other infections that go unreported. So you're really talking about tens of thousands of people that have been afflicted with West Nile virus in California just last year. And so we want people to be aware of that it can be a very serious problem, but there are very simple steps to take to be able to try to prevent that. Not breeding mosquitoes on your property, protecting yourself to make sure that you're not being bitten, and of course calling the district and letting us know that you're having a problem so we can come out there as our professionals to be able to try to handle it. I've mentioned this in years past. We have detected invasive mosquitoes, what we call invasive mosquitoes. So in our area, we have about 23 different species of mosquitoes that are endemic to our area for years and years. However, we are getting what we call Aedes aegypti, the Asian tiger mosquito, and we've found these detections in West Sacramento specifically in pockets. And the challenge with this particular mosquito is that these are very efficient vectors of other more exotic diseases like dengue, chikungunya, Zika, that was in the news a number of years ago. And so if we get these mosquitoes established in our area, then we have the potential for local transmission of those more exotic diseases. And last year down in Southern California, Long Beach and Pasadena, they had local transmission of dengue. So this is something, dengue and malaria, these other exotic diseases, we've eradicated for the most part from the United States. They are starting to make a resurgence. So Mother Nature is tough. So we want people to be aware. If you see these mosquitoes, and particularly these ones come out during the daytime, so most of the time, most of our messages are, you know, dawn and dusk, or when mosquitoes are most active. That's when they're seeking to try to take a blood meal. But these particular mosquitoes are more day biters, and they like to bite people, and they like to be around homes. So if you see mosquitoes in your house, if you're being bitten in the middle of the day, please call us. We'll send somebody out. We'll put traps out. We'll assess the situation and let you know where it is. But you can see in some of the populations or areas that we have detected these particular species of invasive mosquitoes. So you can get more information at our website, which is fightthebite.net. Give us a call, 1-800-429-1022, if you have any mosquito problems whatsoever. Typically, we come out within 24 hours, if not the same day, because we have people in everybody's area on a regular basis. So we want to be able to try to identify where problems are, deal with them as quickly as we possibly can. You can also sign up on our website for any adult mosquito control activities that we did last year. Because of the problems that we were having with West Nile virus, we did aerial applications over Davis and Woodland. And that is typically one of our last resorts. That's kind of the last stitch that we have to be able to try to help really suppress those numbers. But if we do even ground treatments in your area, you can sign up on our website with your zip code, and anytime that we're going to be in your area, we'll send you an email letting you know what it is that we're doing, and forward you to our website to try to get more information so that people are aware the problem is and what it is that we're doing to be able to try to combat it. With that, any questions?
Any questions? Yes. Councilmember Steelholm.
Anecdotally, I will say I agree with you on the mosquitoes feel worse this year. Can you clarify with me again on at what point a resident would call you to come to the house? Because I feel like mosquitoes are bad at our home, but at what point would it be like, let's call the guys to come out and check what's going on?
Call us anytime.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the challenge that we face, one, is that, as I mentioned, the earlier that we can do intervention, the better off we are. If you think about a mosquito that took a blood meal, laid 150 eggs, if we don't get those eggs and they hatch into larvae and then they hatch into adults, and that's just another 150 mosquitoes that are now flying around. So we want to know as quickly as we can. We can come to your property, we can assess what's going on around there. We utilize drones to be able to try to take a look at maybe backyard swimming pools or things like that. We do aerial imagery over neighborhoods to be able to just try to figure out where there might be some sources that are there, because the challenge for us is in neighborhoods, we have no idea. We had a resident call us one time saying, I'm being bothered by mosquitoes, and we went to his neighbor's house, and his neighbor had over 50 washing machines in his backyard. And of course the rainwater fills it up, and they're just teeming with mosquitoes. And it's like, yeah, we know exactly why you're being bothered by mosquitoes. So some of those things we're never going to find unless we get the phone call. So by all means, please call us. So the worst case scenario, we come out there, we assess, and we say, one, these aren't West Nile virus biters, or we can give you some information about the biology of what the particular mosquito is that we're dealing with. But for the most part, we want to know if you're being bothered. So please give us a call. That's what we're here for.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So I hear that, you can hire, the way to, hire somebody to eliminate the mosquitoes. So they'll be spraying around. Is that effective?
To spray the for spraying for the mosquitoes?
Spraying for the mosquitoes around your home to hire, a bug
Oh, I see. Yes, the
control.
mosquito joes and things like that. Yes.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of a clash between public health and some of those pest control companies, just from the perspective of, and this is a longer answer, we have very limited tools to be able to try to control mosquitoes, so there's not that many products that we have that are available and effective. The more that those are used out in the field, then there becomes an issue of what we call resistance, whereas the mosquitoes or the insects become resistant to the products that we have available. So typically from a mosquito perspective, call us as the local district. We're local government. This is exactly what our charge is to do. And not that those folks don't know what they're doing, but their job is to spray around your home. And you may not necessarily be breeding mosquitoes or really have mosquitoes, and so that spraying may not necessarily be necessary. We're only going to make treatments when it's necessary to do so. So that's the challenge that we have with those, with just the kind of what we call it, I don't call it indiscriminate spraying, but in Florida, they have a lot of those companies that come out, and it's like misting systems that just come on like every couple of hours and spray a pesticide around your property. The goal would be you want to minimize that as much as possible. So give us a call, let us know, we'll come out, we'll assess the situation. But those companies do provide that service, and they market it as a public health aspect of things. But our district, along with the other 60 public health entities in the state of California, are designed specifically to try to control mosquitoes for the public good.
That is very helpful. Thank you. And is there anything you can put in your home to kind of control, a mosquito?
There are some what we call traps. You can get at Home Depot. I would recommend, if you're going to buy them, they work, right? So mosquitoes essentially are attracted by the carbon dioxide that you're emitting. That's how they know there's a host or something to bite. And so some of these traps that you can buy in Home Depot, they emit out kind of carbon dioxide, usually through a propane tank, burning propane. And so the mosquitoes find this stream, and then they'll follow it to the trap, and they get trapped. The challenge with that is that if you put that in your yard, you're going to attract the mosquitoes to your yard. So what I would recommend is buy it for your neighbor, and you can attract the mosquitoes over to their yard. But they are very effective, yes. But the most effective tool really is to make sure you're not breeding mosquitoes on your own property. Take a look around once a week, see what dog dish or bird bath or something, bucket, tire that might be filled up with water, and just dump that out. It literally takes 5 minutes of your day. It's a nice walk outside to be able to try to take care of that. And obviously, if you're being bothered, call us. We'll come out and we'll look around for those same things and give you some direction as to, this is producing mosquitoes. The other thing I wanted to mention is repellent. So we have tens of thousands of these packets for repellent. So I know as we start to get into the warmer weather and you have events and the baseball games and picnics and all of those other types of things, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to provide these free of charge. We also have brochures and things like that we can use. Those are the things that we want to be able to try to make sure that people are utilizing. It's almost like a campaign, kind of like sunscreen. 25 years ago, not that many people were putting on sunscreen. It takes a long time to try to get it, but mosquito repellent is a good savior to make sure that you're not getting bitten and not transmitting disease. So please give us a call if you need any of these.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
And just real quickly, I
Janelle?
wanted to, obviously, Janelle DeRoche. She's your representative on our board. She's currently the secretary, so in line for the
Awesome.
presidency.
Thank you.
But she's an excellent advocate. She's been to a number of our conferences in the state of California.
Wow,
Very
really?
passionate about what we do with mosquitoes and learning quite a bit.
Good for her.
But she's an excellent representative for your city, and we thank you for
so
appointing her.
much, Janelle. Thank
All
you
right.
for everything you do.
Great. Thank you very much.
Next, we have our consent agenda item 5 through 18. Are there any requests to pull any items?
18, please.
18? All right.
And then, Madam Mayor,
Yes,
I have comments for 6, 10, and 11.
we'll pull them. And we'll start with 6. We won't take any, if there's not, if you're not gonna pass it up. I'm sorry, say that again? Because we do have a policy, right? Madam Clerk, do you want to
Just
repeat the
comments.
policy? Just comments?
Just comments.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
You want me to go?
Six, yes.
Okay. We have 3 different items on here upgrading several of our fire stations. I had the opportunity to attend the open house for Fire Station 45 after a lot of work had been done on that space. And I want to thank, not just for 45, but, want to thank our fire department for being patient with us on these upgrades. But I also had the opportunity to drive to several of the fire stations with Fire Chief Benz. And so thank you for giving me several hours of one of your mornings to look at these fire stations. So I've seen firsthand these upgrades that are being recommended tonight. I am in full support of all of them. I'm very happy to see this work being done. I want to compliment the capital projects team. We've heard amazing things about the work they've been doing to project manage these. And so thank you to your team for getting all of this done timely and being in great communication. And then just once again, thanking the fire department for being patient as we make these upgrades. I think
they've been waiting and it's time. So my comments, thank you.
Yes. Oh, sorry, no, we have, you before. 10?
That was 6, 10, and 11.
Oh, that was all three?
Yes, that was all three.
There we go. Okay, 18.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I couldn't agree with my colleague, Councilmember Sulpicia Hull. I probably could speak for the entire council when I say that we agree. And thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you, Chief Binns, for providing that opportunity to get a different lens toward the issues that are facing our fire department. I pulled 18 for comment only. Back in December, both council members Sulpicia Hull and I made a future agenda request for this particular item. It is a consideration of a resolution in support of the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, also known as the CEDAW for short. Essentially, the CEDAW defines discrimination and provides a practical blueprint to promote human rights and open opportunities for women and girls in all areas of society, specifically for our purposes in West Sacramento. It is an opportunity to overcome barriers and discrimination in political, social, economic, and cultural fields. We brought it because we felt that the interest of issues such as domestic violence, trafficking, affordable health, equity, childcare, economic security, pay inequities, paid family leave, and educational and vocational opportunities were very, very important. And I know I can, like I've said this already, speak, I'm sure, on behalf of the rest of the council, that we all very much believe that this is an issue that we, as one of the state's only all-female councils, find to be very pressing. I know we could all equally speak from our own perspectives as a mother of young children, as a social worker, as a nonprofit CEO who deals with family services and direct child care, as well as, you know, the prosecutor who at one point was an adult sex assault prosecutor and recognized that there were problems when you had to bring survivor after survivor after survivor in order to convince one jury that there is a problem plaguing our society when it comes to being victimized and the doubts that we carry. We see it when we turn on our TV at night and see a celebrity have to be accused 40 different times by separate individuals of misconduct before the light bulb goes out on and we say, oh, okay, maybe we should take this seriously. And quite frankly, I think the city is one of the very few. I am proud to say Sacramento and Elk Grove also took a stance in favor of this to adopt the CEDAW as part of our culture and to, as part of our agreement, conduct an annual internal company-wide gender pay analysis, review hiring and promotion processes and procedures to reduce unconscious bias and structural barriers to equality, as well as promote equal pay best practices such as increased pay transparency, training on retaliation protections, and training for supervisors and managers on pay equity laws. This is not only about those three areas, this is about conducting a study to see where it is that we're falling short, so that way we can come back and address these issues as a council and adopt policy changes if necessary. So with that said, I am very much, and I believe my colleagues are probably in the same vote, in support of this item, and I'm grateful that we are bringing it before our council. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Right, thank you. We'll have public comment. Madam Clerk, I'm opening it up for public comment.
Speaking on item number 15, we have Robin Davis.
So 15 is regarding expanding the impact fee pilot program, reduction pilot program, and I'm very supportive of reducing the cost of impact fees for everyone. These fees have been preventing affordable housing, not just for West Sac, but all of California. They have been putting an additional burden on access to our already very limited access to affordable basic needs. This is why our park impact fee was reduced by over $5,000. It's why this program is recommended to be expanded by staff. It's why West Sac Chamber of Commerce supports it, YIMBYs and tiny home advocates support this. Two of the bills YIMBYs were advocating for on Monday have to do with impact fee transparency and impact fee payment deferments. YIMBYs and the state will continue to pass bills regarding impact fees, so it's good to get ahead of what's already coming and will continue to come. It is unfortunate that in addition to the fees being very expensive, we spend thousands of dollars on nexus studies to justify them, to now reduce them because the studies weren't accurate. But that's part of the caveat with these nexus studies, is that they are full of uncertainty and assumptions. I'd love to see a sub-pilot to this program that's for impact fee waivers for homes under 400 square feet, which is what board members in Sacramento Regional Sewer suggested to staff. And let's see what developers and individuals come up with, if anything at all. If those homes get built, then they would go towards our RENA numbers and cost the taxpayers $0. We should be giving every opportunity for people to build more efficient, affordable, smaller housing. I'd like to request all outside agencies be contacted and see if they would also like to participate in this pilot program. I'd like to request that all residential properties have the option to defer their impact fee payments until construction completion, or potentially longer term, since I have been advised an impact fee payment plan is not possible by West Sac City staff. Impact fees go to the overall infrastructure of the city, like our parks and sewer systems, but that should not be prioritized over an individual getting access to shelter and water. I'd also like to request if the fees could also be categorized by construction type rather than fee type for efficiency for residents, and include the outside agency fees. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Our next speaker is speaking on item 18, Erin Saberi.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Councilwomen. My name is Erin Saberi. I'm the chair of the Sacramento County Commission on the Status of Women. I live in Sacramento County, but I'm the proud relative of now 6 generations of Yolo County residents. So it's great to be here with you all. And I thank you for your comments, Councilwoman Orozco, and for your support, all of you, for the CDAW resolution. We in the Sacramento County Commission want to offer our support for any work for implementation. And if you want to do an ordinance, we are helping the other cities in the county. And CDAW, implementing cities for CDAW is one of our priorities in our work plan. As you may have heard, CDAW was first adopted in 1979 by the UN General Assembly, but never ratified by the United States. We are just one of only 6 countries in the world that have not ratified this important convention. And so leave it to California cities to start taking it local. And cities across the state have started to adopt CDAW, beginning, I think, in 2004 with San Francisco. But many cities now, in the last 2 or 3 years, there's been a big push, and you may have heard of what's happening in Los Angeles, in Santa Clara County, in the city of San Jose, San Diego County, and now the cities of Sacramento, West Sac, and thank you for the city of West Sacramento and Elk Grove as well. We will partner with you in each of our regional cities, and we will assist you in the development if you so choose. We are currently at a time when we think this is extremely important. As you've mentioned tonight in talking about children's issues and other issues, women were hard hit by the pandemic, and still the data show, both the international and the national data, and recently some California data show that on all indicators other than education, women are behind and falling behind for the first time on some indicators in more than a decade. We know that for many of the issues that you talked about today, from childcare to violence to children's issues, but it also touches issues like housing, jobs, economic development, transportation. When the city of San Francisco adopted CDAW and they did their analysis, they worked with the police department, and some things that they never could have imagined came out of their work. Something as simple as where to put some street lights, because women workers were coming out of office buildings late at night, and the bus stops weren't lit in the way that places were across town. And so they amended and just did, they worked with their city works and Department of Works to get lighting and safety precautions, escorts in certain places as well. So there's a lot of potential depending what you find, and we're here to help you, and I want to say thank you very much. And I also want to say it's my first time after many years in politics and government to ever be before an all-female dais, so it's kind of emotional, and I appreciate all of your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. And I just want to also comment on the ordinance. I do agree. I think Mayor Pro Tem Early had made a recommendation in our strategic planning retreat to pursue that. And we were, I think, both at Yolo County's, convening, and if you'd like to share a little more. For women. And that was presented to us, and we both jumped on board. I'm so grateful that Mayor Pro Tem Early hunted it down.
Thank you, Mayor. I've advocated city, well, for my own organization.
Yeah.
We've done it. I swear I'm pressing it. I'm just going to pull it out a little bit.
Yeah, you all have so much expertise and all these issues. So let us know if we can be of help in any way, and if not, we'll cheerlead and applaud. Thank you so much.
Yes, we would like your help.
We would love your help.
We would.
Thank you. We're here for you.
Thank you. And just, thank you for bringing this to us. I think this is important in that presentation. I also do think we need to do it citywide. I think citywide, it would include all employers here in the city, and to continue to have conversations to explore that as well. And I know it's a lot of work and what it would take and how we can get it done. Because I think as far as ensuring all women have, whether we have enough early child care centers, resources for women to get to work, guaranteed income program to help women, climb out of poverty. We are struggling with poverty, and families are struggling. So in order for them to be able to be successful, we're going to have to do a lot more work. Okay, thank you. And with that, Madam Clerk, any other requests to speak?
We have no additional requests to speak on the consent agenda.
All right. With that, I'll accept a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll move. Early seconds.
Councilmember Verna Cepizio Hall moved, and Mayor Pro Tem Early seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sulpicio Hull.
Aye.
Councilmember Alcala.
Aye.
Councilmember Orozco. Mayor Pro Tem Early.
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero.
Aye. Thank you so much. This item is approved. Next, we'll go to our General Administration Function Part 2. Do we have any reports from our council assignments?
Mayor, I have a really quick one.
Sure.
Thank you. So today I attended the Yolo Solano Air Quality Management District meeting, and we went over budget, of course, and adoption of new regulations. But the important thing I wanted to mention was the Yolo Solano Air Quality Management District board members voted to compete in the Zero Emissions Technology Deployment Competition through the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Clean Ports Program. And this is really important. I'll tell you in a minute why, but I want to thank them because it does mean a lot of extra work for the staff of the Yolo Solano Air Quality Management District. So what this is a $104 million grant that would directly benefit the city of West Sacramento. This is to fund zero emissions technology deployment at ports and climate and quality planning. Air quality planning. If we get this grant, we should find out by September of 2024, and the grant would be awarded in December of 2024. So the goals are clean air programs. The goals of the Clean Air Program are to build a foundation for port sector to transition over time to fully zero emission operations. This positions the ports to serve as catalysts for change across the freight sector, and it reduces diesel pollution, air toxins, and this grant would also fund zero emission port equipment and infrastructure to reduce mobile source emissions like pollutants, air toxins, greenhouse gases at U.S. ports. So overall, it's delivering cleaner air for communities in West Sacramento. So we're very hopeful that we may get a grant, and that would be fantastic for West Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you. Early.
We received a presentation at the YOLO Transportation District meeting yesterday, and it was for the Climate Action Plan, which our county is currently going through. There has been lots of engagement across our county, not as much in West Sacramento. And when I think about emissions, which is what Councilmember Alcala triggered me, like, oh wait, I do have something. I would like before June for us to try as a city to get the word out and to see if there are opportunities for the county staff that are leading that work to do more engagements in West Sacramento before that plan is finalized.
When is that?
The plan will be finalized by the end of June. And thus far, I know. And thus far, there has been one presentation at a public meeting, one in West Sacramento. There has been in Woodland, if I'm literally looking at the picture, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in Davis 3, in Winters 2, in Esparto 2. And so when I think about the Climate Action Plan and West Sacramento's engagement and equity in that, it seems that we can and should be more engaged, and I would call on our staff to be able to support that.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we can reach out and see if we can coordinate some more outreach in West Sacramento.
All right, so, yes. Councilmember Roscoe?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Sacramento Area Sewer District Northern California Sanitation Agency's Financing Authority met this morning, April 10th, to discuss a variety of issues. We spent a significant amount of time in closed session, but when we went to regular meeting, we discussed the proposed 3-year rate increase. So unfortunately, I know that we've all been feeling the crunch when it comes to inflation. That would be similarly said for our agency. Not only have I mentioned in the past the cost of chlorine and other types of chemicals that are needed to cleanse our water system and deal with the effluent, there have not been rate increases since 2010, specifically in 2018 for treatment. With that, there have been significant notifications that have gone out to both residential and commercial, and in January, industrial clients to let them know that there are going to be rate increases. But along with that, I know I've mentioned the Sewer Lifeline Assistance Program. I really want West Sac to know about that. If you go to the Regional Sanitation website, there is a pop-out for us to quickly, it's easy application, especially if you're fixed income, feeling the crunch. I mean, you don't even have to have fixed income, frankly. Everybody's working hard for their paychecks, and you know, the obligations that encumber our funds are not diminishing, that's for sure. But we're hoping to soften that increase by expanding outreach to our communities in a variety of different languages. There are QR codes. There are inserts that come with our utility bills, and to the extent that our residents, I know that, as it was mentioned earlier, West Sac is often hard hit when it comes to low-income residents, that we can get the word out and get people to apply. I know I even told my mother, who, you know, she lives in a, I guess the equivalent of a mobile home park, for her to go and reach out to her neighbors, many of whom are you know, elderly and on fixed incomes, to let them know about this. So that's how we spread the word, right? Is we tell our family members and we tell our teachers and everyone else to spread the word to our constituents so that they can access what could be assistance that is well needed and much needed. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Well, with that, I'd like to share again the great news that West Sacramento was one of 2 cities in California and one of 30 in the nation to receive the Bloomberg Youth Climate Action Fund. And that's as a result of my participation in COP28 with the Bloomberg Mayor's Innovation Program in Dubai. And that, will allow us, if, successful in the implementation, to also receive an additional $100,000 in funding. These are going to be micro grants between 1 to 5,000 for the first 50,000 to encourage youth to look at climate action activities, to be the lead and to learn and to teach us what it is we should be doing. They're our future. And with that, I think listening to your suggestion and bringing more involvement, I would like our youth to be providing the recommendations for Yolo County's climate action plan, but also providing recommendations for our city's climate action plan, because we have yet to update ours. There have been things that we need to continue to do. Things have changed, and we have, needs that we need to continue to work on. And having an updated climate action plan continues to give us opportunities for grant funding and other things. And that's the reason why we received ours, was because we have a current climate action plan, and not every city is, set. So historically, we've been able to be positioned to receive this grant, and also just being involved in being, leaders in climate action. Because I think now more than ever, as you see the impact of the changes in our climate, the heat, the extreme rain, the flooding in some areas that you've never seen, mosquitoes, everything. It's just getting so uncomfortable to live, and that's as a result of the change in our climate. So I think it's critical now more than ever for all of us to step in and like to see, you see Breathe California, Sacramento region is going to be doing this. So if you have an activity, if you'd like to do something or partner with something together, if you have an organization that you'd like to apply, we'll be putting out more information since Breathe California is taking the lead. They have a few projects they're working on, but they know they need to launch this, and it needs to get started in early May. So if you have an organization that you're interested in applying for a micro grant, once that announcement is released, the city will contribute in releasing that. Feel free to share and see what you can do to partner with these organizations. And also, with our bridge, Sycamore Trail opening up, we'd like to take a look at a youth activity, maybe a joint one with the city and with our council members to have some kind of activity to promote that, demonstrating that our youth will be safe crossing the bridge, and it's a great benefit to our community. So with that, I'll move over to council calendar updates. By the way, the A's are coming to town. Yes.
I saw the press release.
No report tonight on council calendar.
Okay. City manager report, no report. City
No
attorney report? Oh, do you have a city manager report? Sorry. Okay. City attorney report? No report. Staff direction? City council future agenda item request from council? I do have an adjourn in memory. Oh,
Madam Mayor, I'm so sorry. It's not a future agenda item or anything. It's just a quick announcement, if I may.
yes, you may.
Thank you. On April 21st, I'd like to invite the community out. West Sac Girls Give Back will be at Lanisa's Cafe from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Sunday. It's a group of girls that began at the beginning of COVID, trying to exercise an opportunity for leadership. And I told them, listen, to pick up something, whatever it is that you think would be helpful for our community. They chose to do a feminine hygiene drive for other girls in our community that don't have access readily available to them, because they're very expensive, right? Now we've seen a lot of strides. I mean, they're available in a lot of school bathrooms and whatnot, but at the time it was a novel idea. And so they've kept it up over the years, and this year the girls that were once freshmen are now seniors, and they wanted to bring it back one final year before they graduated. We'll be parked in front of Lanisa's Cafe outside, collecting tampons, maxi pads, panty liners, any feminine hygiene products. These will be donated to my sister's house, local shelters, as well as the Collings Teen Center for all to access. I know as part of an all-female council, I look forward to seeing my colleagues there show up. Let's make this something that's not just pertinent to women. Like I've seen women bring their sons out and their husbands, and they, people take this upon themselves. I know Mr. Jung from Uplift often is a big donor, and this isn't an issue he has to deal with on the monthly, but I appreciate that he has, the commitment to making sure that women's needs are not ignored, especially with everything we've talked about tonight. So I invite you all again, April 21st. That's a Sunday, 9 to 1. We'll see you there.
Thank you. So in adjourning in the memory of Connie Sue Jones tonight. Just a little history about Connie Sue. She was born on August 10th, 1953 in Pensacola, Florida, to Frank Goodner and Joanne Williamson. And her father, Frank, a Navy sailor, moved their young family to Sacramento, McClellan Air Force Base. So he would have more time with his family. And as she started kindergarten in nearby Rio Linda, always excelled in her academics, prolific reader, and with an unwavering thirst for knowledge. She graduated as valedictorian from her high school in Amador, and with a full scholarship ride to UC Davis, your alma mater. After a couple of years at Davis, she left to pursue other opportunities, and then married Richard Buzz Jones, who established one of the first printing franchise, Pitt Printing, in West Sacramento. So they stayed working together. They met, married there for 30 years. And Connie is opened up, her heart to give back at her community, and that's that inspired Buzz. That's just our loss. I think Connie always opened her home for a little fall festival so people can pick off, the fruit from their trees. And that was just her way of giving back to the community, because they didn't have children, but to her community was like her family. And so also co-writers, planners for the West Sac's first fire master plan, also the first visit of the Liberty ship of the SS Jeremiah O'Brien to the port, and also contributed to, the Art Guild, art shows highlighting West Sac talent that was judged by the Crocker Art Museum. And so, she leaves behind Buzz and Milo, their beagle, and will always remain in West Sacramento as a treasured memory, for our community. So just want to, share my appreciation for what she's given to us, and she'll be missed dearly. So with that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn in her memory.
Early second.
Okay. Councilmember Orozco moved, and Mayor Pro Tem Early seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sulpicio Hull.
Aye.
Councilmember Alcala.
Aye.
Councilmember Orozco. Mayor Pro Tem Early.
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero.
Aye, we are now adjourned.